My name's Laura, and I'm 14 years old. When I was a kid, I went through so much traumatic stuff that it has left me permanently scarred in the craziest way. I was 3 years old when my dad died from a heart attack. My mom really couldn't cope after this. She started drinking and smoking a lot. So my grandparents stepped in and decided to take care of me for a couple of years. But then 3 years later, my mom got diagnosed with cancer and died. It was a complete nightmare for me. But luckily, my grandparents were there for me. I used to secretly cry myself to sleep every night, and then during the day, I'd try to smile and pretend to be happy, as not to worry my grandparents. It was such a tough time for me. Fast forward 4 years, and I started getting these weird blackouts every day. At first, I thought it was because of school or something, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But then, one day, I was at my best friend Maria's house for a sleepover, and it happened. I walked into her room, and suddenly, I blacked out. When I woke up the next morning, Maria was staring at me and looked kinda scared. She said I'd acted like a completely different person the night before. I couldn't remember anything and felt so embarrassed, so I told her I needed to go home and rushed out of there. When I got home, I googled blackout and memory loss, and suddenly, a page popped up saying DID symptoms, so I clicked on it to see what it said. It said things like, a person may experience blackouts and act differently, so I ran downstairs to tell my grandparents about it. They weren't surprised and said they'd noticed I'd acted a bit strange sometimes, so they called the hospital to arrange an appointment for the following day. Maria texted me to ask if I was okay, so I asked her to tell me about the night before. She said she'd asked me if I wanted to eat pizza for dinner, and I told her that I'm not hungry, which is weird as I'm pretty much always hungry. Then she said I just sat on her bed texting someone, and that I looked like a robot. I wasn't smiling or laughing or anything. It was kind of creepy, so she left the room for a bit. But when she came back, I was playing with her dog, looking all playful and hyper. All that really freaked her out. The next day, my grandparents took me to the hospital to get some tests done. I was feeling so scared by this point. I had to get an MRI scan on my head, and afterwards, the doctor walked me up to my grandparents and started whispering to them. I couldn't hear anything the doctor was saying, but the next moment, my grandma was crying. I felt so sad. I'd never seen her cry before, and I couldn't stand it. The doctor turned to me and explained that I have something called dissociative identity disorder, DID. Basically, this means I have multiple personalities, and in my case, I have 4. I've even given them names: Emily, Lily, Anna, and of course myself, Laura. The doctor tried to ask me about when this could have started, and what could have been the cause of it, and it seems it had to be because of my parents passing away. That's the most traumatic memory I could think of. It's been a while ever since I was diagnosed. It has gotten my life much more complicated, but I've kind of worked my way around it. I once asked my grandma to help me figure out what these personalities were like, as every time it happened, I blacked out and couldn't remember anything. She had helped me ask the personalities the same questions and noted down things that happened. So, visual-wise, our styles are quite similar. We all like wearing jeans and crop tops, except for Lily. She prefers leggings and an oversized hoodie. The one thing about us that's really different, and by looking at this, you will be able to tell us apart, is how we do our hair. I like mine half up, half down. Emily likes hers down. Lily likes hers in a ponytail, and Hannah likes hers in a messy bun. We also found out that Emily likes pop music. Her favorite hobby is dancing, and she hates sweets. Any ideal date to her would be sitting by the window with her cat while sipping her tea. Then there's Lily. She doesn't like music at all, and she likes to go skating and eat healthy food. She spends all her free time at the skate park. Lastly, there's Anna. She's really quiet and likes classical music, reading books, and drawing. I too love drawing, so maybe my personality is closest to Anna's. Sometimes we would leave notes for each other on a piece of paper if we have something to tell the other personalities, as that's the only way for us to communicate. DID is something I've just had to get used to. The change usually happens anywhere between 2 to 6 hours after a personality takes control, but when I'm stressed, it can happen every 30 minutes. The longest I was one personality was 8 hours. It was Lily, and she went to the skate park and broke her leg. But luckily, we're okay now. Lily is definitely the rebel one. One time, she took my paints and wrote on the class bully's locker, "You are a loser, Mackenzie." I mean, it served her right. This girl was a serious bully. Usually, I can feel when I'm about to change personalities, but I can't decide which one will take control. Sometimes, different things can trigger the change, too. like some certain smell or the place or food that is special to a specific personality. Cool, right? It doesn't always go to plan, though. On many occasions, I've burnt my toast or pancakes because I had a switch while making breakfast. I just froze there for a moment. It's kind of funny. And one time when I was 12, I was in a school play. I was playing the main character, and in the middle of the play, I changed personalities. It was so embarrassing. But before the play, I made sure all of my personalities knew the lines, so I think it was okay in the end. For the most part, people are understanding. My teachers know about it, and no one usually notices when it happens in class, as the only thing I do is change my hairstyle or the way I hold my pen. But some people are a bit mean to me. They say I'm faking it or doing it for attention. But I just ignore these people. They have no idea what it's like to live with this. Then there are nice moments, like the drawing my friend's little sister did for me. It had 4 girls on it, all of my personalities, and it was super cute. I also have had a girlfriend before, and she was super understanding. Despite me switching personalities during our dates, it was undeniably awkward, but we just laughed it off. All 4 of us loved her, and the same goes for everyone else in our lives. We've agreed on only meeting people that we all like, because if one personality doesn't like a person, it can get kinda annoying. And so, this is my life. 75% of the time, I am not Laura, not myself, but it's something I've just had to learn to live with. There's no cure, so all I can do is endure it and try to make life easier. And even so, I love myself, all 4 versions of me.